No. Let's go through the shirt, I suppose. Hey guys.
You're all up in my shirt. How does it feel?
Maybe right there. I still look silly. It's okay though. What is up guys? It's Doolin and I am back and I'm so excited to have this video with you all. I started thinking about it and I actually have this growing wish list on BGG and BGG stats that I have, and I thought it would be fun to think about what is my first game I'm going to purchase in this new home. What is the first one that I'm bought that I'm going to slide into the shelf? That being said, I have a laundry list of games that are on my wish list that I need help picking between, and so I've decided today we're going to go through 8 of them and I'm going to narrow them down to 4, and then you guys are going to help me pick between those 4. And just so you know, my budget is around 50 bucks. And so all of those games kind of apply to around that price point. So if you're looking for a relatively, I don't want to say cheap game because there are cheaper than that, but in the realm of board games, unfortunately, that is actually a cheap per price point. And I've divided them up all into categories because I like to do that. And I don't want multiple games of the same type in that last 4. And so the first one, we're going to start off with a banger. And these are 2 games from the same company because I think I probably am going to love this company by the end of all of my experiences with them. If for those of you that don't know, Mice and Mystics has shot to the top of my top 20, not the very tip top. We'll get to that next year in May, but it is up there. It is so good. Theme alone and story alone, some of the best storytelling and theme that I've ever seen. It's cute. I feel like I'm honestly in the middle of a Disney film whenever I'm playing it. And these 2 games are both by that same company, Plaid Hat Games. And so the first one is actually very similar in theme. It is called Aftermath. And instead of that fantasy, D&D-ish feeling of being a mouse in that world, it is actually more Fallout and post-apocalyptic. And this sounds really interesting to me. I've heard that the mechanics of it are 10 times better than Mice and Mystics, so I'm excited to try this game, hopefully eventually, maybe even extremely soon. But it's going up against a really good game as well that has been on my list even longer. Aftermath is around $68, so it is a little bit higher, and Stuffed Fables is the game it's going up against. And this game costs about $46. It's a lot cheaper. And the theme, guys, the theme is so cute. You play these little stuffed animals in a crew of people, and I think it only goes up to 4 players, but you know, I think that's the same about Aftermath. That's the same with Mice and Mystics. And the stuffed animals are belong to this child that every time the child goes to sleep, you are in its dreams protecting it, get this, from nightmares. That is the cutest thing I've ever heard in my life. The story itself just sounds super unique. And I think that co-op experience that I'm looking for would really get satisfied by either one of these. But in the end, because of the draw-in that I have with the theme, I have to go with Stuffed Fables. I just think that this game, it checks all the boxes in terms of what I'm looking for in a story and in a theme and being unique. I think that it'll be a really fun experience with the group that I hopefully plan on introducing it to. So Stuffed Fables, first game chosen, and then it is going up against 2 games that are more party games-ish. The first one being Detective Club. This game is only $25, so well below budget. And it is also made by the same group and designers that make some of my favorites like Dixit, Mysterium, and Obscurio. If you know anything about this designers, this company, they put a whole lot of work into the artwork that will be played in card form, and they make games that surround the artwork that they have. And in this game, players are assuming the roles of detectives or the conspirator, and a player will write down on a piece of paper that will go to every single player except for one who will have a blank piece of paper, and they'll write down a word that is associated with 2 of the cards they're going to play with from their hand. So let's say they picked ocean, and they're going to play 2 water cards. Every other person will take a turn starting with the left person to the person's left They will look at what it is that the word is, so everybody will know that it's ocean, and they'll play a card that they think matches the word ocean, except for one player who will not know what the word is, and they will look at everybody else's cards and try to blend in. And then at the end, the part that sounds really interesting is everybody has to justify their choices, and so everyone around the table, like if you're a detective that played some pretty crappy cards, you're gonna do some hardcore justification for why you picked the things that you did. Whereas the conspirator, you're just gonna have to lie. You're gonna have to figure out the best way to convince the people around you that you knew what that card was, and that person over there clearly picked worse cards than you. It sounds really interesting, and it's going up against a game that easily it would have beaten, because this game wasn't even on my radar until a few days ago, but I played it with Jeff and Max, and it's called Donuts for Donuts. This is by Game Right Games, so don't just write it off immediately. It does sound silly. It does sound like just it's going to be a silly card game that's not any good. In fact, Jeff and Max, when I picked this game, gave me a really hard time about it. But by the end of it, they both loved the game. So, joke's on them, you losers. I can't even jokingly say that. This game reminds me a lot of Sushi Go in the way that it's scored, in the way that the cards are, because it's this cute little faces on food instead of sushi. Obviously, you're playing with donuts. And the unique part about the game that I enjoyed was instead of everybody having a large amount of cards in their hands to draft from and then pass to their left, there's actually just a row of cards on the table, and everybody will select the card that they want at the same time by placing a number in front of them face down. At the end of the round, everyone will reveal the number that they chose, and if you're the only person that chose that number, you get the card that you wanted. Whereas if any other player chose the same number card as you and them both forfeit the card, and the card is actually discarded to the discard pile. My goodness, if there is a game out there that is hilarious as you play and also so mean, it's this one, because you at all points in the game can see what everyone else has. You know that Max is going for donut holes, so every time that donut holes card comes out, you can keep him from getting it. You in fact can continually pick them to the point that Max, every time he sees a donut hole out there, will not pick it. And then you don't even have to pick donut holes anymore because Max is so scared to pick donut holes because he's sure that somebody else is going to hate draft it, that it might be left out there a few rounds before he actually tries it again. And guess what? You were in Max's head all along. You knew that this time he was going to try to grab it, so you picked it again, and boom, it's discarded, and he gets really angry and throws the whole table. It is a great mean game for 8 players that is easy to learn, easy to pull out, very cheap, only $13. And between it and Detective Club, here's the thing, for 2 reasons alone, I'm gonna pick Detective Club. One being, I think the pedigree that it has with the games in my collection that are already there that I love, like Mysterium Park, Obscurio, Dixit, all those games are incredible. And if I'm thinking, what is it that I'm going to be guaranteed to like, and what is it that the group of people I want to introduce it to is guaranteed to like, it's got to be Detective Club. And secondly, if I'm trying to think of what it is that I want to buy first at my new house, to be able to say this was the very first game I added to my collection at my new house, and I'm trying to turn over this leaf of being more selective, it's got to be Detective Club. I don't know if I want to be able to say, guys, I'm being way more selective with the games that I purchase, and then pick Donuts for Donuts as a game that I'm gonna get. First 2 that got picked were Stuffed Fables and Detective Club. This next round is a shout out to Foster the Meeple, specifically Jamie, because Jamie actually has, weirdly enough, almost the exact same taste in board games as I do. It is to the point where it is when she recommends a game, I know I will like it. And when I recommend a game, she knows she's probably gonna like it too. And so these 2 games have been at the top of my must-have list for a while, because I know how much she loved them. One of which is a game called Camel Up, and it is a I don't want to say press your luck, it's more like a betting game, which is, I guess, press your luck. And these cute camels on this really cute, well-designed board are running around the Egyptian pyramid, and you as a player are taking turns betting on which camel you think is going to win, and you get points. I don't know a whole lot more about the game other than that Jamie likes it, and it sounds very interesting and unique. So Camel Up is one of them. I think that game is actually only $28 from where I found it. And then the other game that it's going up against is a heavy hitting game as well. This game is a game that she has honestly recommended more and more to me, is Takenoko. This is a cute little bamboo growing panda staving off and sending to eat the bamboo on other people's players game. It's an action selection game with a lot of cute artwork and really, I think, unique player pieces that I've not seen before. And I am very drawn into the idea of this. I think there's a little bit of gotcha in this game, where you can spend your actions moving the panda to other players' boards, hoping that he'll eat their bamboo instead. I think the weather dice is a really unique aspect of this game, and it is right around that price point that I was looking to spend. It's $45. Between those two games, I will say, because of how much Jamie's recommended Takenoko, and also because of just weighing which one I think is going to be a hit in my house, Takenoko takes the cake. The bamboo, and it's going to move on. It's going to be the third of those 4 games that we're going to choose from. And the last 2 that are going to go up against each other are actually dexterity games. And in the past, I didn't really like dexterity games that much. I wasn't any good at them at all, and I still am not. But they've grown on me, especially now that I've played some really, really cool ones. I mean, Crokinole is amazing. I really enjoy the game Clask, actually, and also Crash Octopus was really what put me on the radar of, I need to play more of these style of games. I think that they're extremely fun, extremely unique, and I need to try out more. And the 2 that I'm picking between is actually a game called Pinyo, which is a soccer marble pinball looking game, and also a game called Ice Cool 2. Some of you are like, why would you get Ice Cool 2 when you could get Ice Cool 1? It's because Ice Cool 1 wasn't available where I was hoping to buy it from. So I'm choosing between Ice Cool 2 and Pinyo. And Ice Cool 2 I've read actually has better mechanics and updated rules. So why would I get the worst of the 2 when I can get Ice Cool 2 first? And I've heard that you can combine the board, so get Ice Cool 1 at some point if I like Ice Cool 2. The difference in price between these 2 is huge. Pinyo, a classic board that I would be looking to get, is around $100. It's very well made, it seems, and it looks really, really nice, and it's something that I could probably keep out on the table for a long time and it would be okay. Whereas Ice Cool locks in at only $27. This game, I had to double check. Maybe I was getting an expansion instead of the actual game. I was amazed at how cheap this game is. And that might speak to the quality of the board pieces as well. However, I've not really read much about people complaining about destruction of the pieces, as long as you're careful with it. And I'm not going to be playing this game with kids. I don't have any kids. So I think I can probably convince people, grown adults, that I invite to play this game to take care of it. Between the 2, I mean, soccer is always something that draws me in. And I think Pinyo might be a game I get eventually when it goes a little bit cheaper. But if I'm trying to keep in my price point, Ice Cool just sounds way more interesting and also is the way better deal. You are these penguins who are essentially playing a game of tag. You're trying to collect as the mischievous running around the school penguins collect your fish in above the door frames, and there's a hall monitor penguin who's going around trying to collect the penguin's ID cards. And so he will go and he'll try to, your goal is to just bump into the other players, whereas if you're one of the other penguins, you have to try to go under all of the door frames that have your specific fish color on them. It sounds extremely interesting. It can be played up to, I think, 8 players, which is huge, whereas Pinyo is only a 2-player game. And I would much rather have the experience of a lot of people around the table than just a few, even though there are times where it's just Emily or I, or just Max and I. I think between the two, if I'm staying within my price point, Ice School 2 has to move on. And that is it. There are 4 games left. But as I was looking at those last 4 to give you guys a choice between, I realized something, that they're wildly different prices, for one, unless I did something else. And I think the only way either of these 2 games are going to get chosen, because of the nature of wanting to get the most bang for your buck, if I'm willing to spend $50, I'm probably not going to buy a game that's only $25. So that being said, Detective Club, $25. Ice School 2, $27. We're going to put those 2 together, and they will share the top position if I get both of them, and that's the game. Those are the games that you choose. So you have a choice between 3 possibilities for me, and just looking at them, I think I would be very excited about any of those. Number 1 is Stuffed Fables by Plaid Hat Games. Remember, this is the game where you're stuffed animals with your friends, fending off nightmares as a little child who you belong to sleeps. The artwork looks awesome, the theme and the story sound awesome, and I'm very much interested in this game. Number 2 is Ice School 2 and Detective Club, both of which can be played with for up to 8 players, and I think we'll get a lot of playtime with the groups that I typically meet with, which is all really just my family. It's my sister, her husband, my wife, and then my parents. We all love to meet up, that's 6 of us, and play games like this that are easy to set up, easy to teach, and create laughter and fun. And I think both of these games would do that well. And then the last game is because of our love for Foster the Meeple, and also how much I trust Jamie's picks, which is Takenoko, this cute little game about growing bamboo and trying to send a panda around to eat other people's bamboo, or even feeding him, because you're gonna score points that way too. Seems very interesting, very fun action selection game that I'm actually looking forward to as well, and I think I would enjoy any of these picks. So help me, guys, help me please, because I don't know which one I would actually choose if given the choice myself. So make the choice, comment which one you would choose, comment ones that you think should be added to my list, but don't do it in a way where you're like, this one should get a vote. Only vote for one of these 3 sets, and let us know either on social media, on Patreon, on Discord, or in the comment section. Also, thank you so much. I'm so looking forward to showing you guys my house, and specifically that game room setup that will be on display in multiple videos in the future. See you guys.